Parashat Devarim, Shabbat Chazon, hours away from Tisha B'Av. And even if we haven't necessarily related to the 9 days fully until now, you hear the laning on Shabbat, and you hear Moshe Rabbeinu recapping the history and telling the people, I couldn't cope on my own. You guys were so quarrelsome and troublesome. I needed to appoint a whole rank of judges just to deal with all the complaints. And in the Midrashic imagination, the contrast or the connection between Moshe Rabbeinu's Eicha, how can I do it? And Eicha Yashva Badad, the opening line from the book of Eicha, how Yerushalayim sat dejected. And in a fascinating comment by the Midrash said, had you been worthy, you would have just read in the Torah Moshe's sigh, Moshe's questioning how he could possibly cope with the entire nation. But because you weren't worthy and we made bad choices and imitated the non-Jewish people around us, our temple was destroyed, and Yerushalayim was destroyed, and so on. Tragically, there was another Eicha brought into our text, Eicha Yashva Badat. But it seems a little bit weird because Moshe was complaining. Moshe was not a happy person. So how can that be a reward? How can Moshe be a positive thing? Whereas obviously Eicha Yashva Badad is negative, but how do we see Moshe in a positive light? And here's the secret. Hard work's never a problem. Not really. Because it shows you've got a purpose. It shows there's something to do. All Moshe was saying was not woe to me in a lament. He was saying, how is it possible for one man to deal with it? The nation is grown, the nation is dynamic, the nation is developing, and therefore by extension, the number of things that Moshe Rabbeinu had to adjudicate were going to increase. Yes, we might have been quarrelsome and troublesome, but that grew out of our increase. There's the contrast. The increase of Moshe Rabbeinu is contrasted with the isolation, the lack of anything. Yashva Badad was all alone. You've got the all alone of Jeremiah with the dynamic increase of Moshe Rabbeinu's retelling of the story. And there's the tragedy. The nation that was large and bold and dynamic and busy fell apart in the time of the Bet HaMikdash. So what do we do this Shabbat? That contrast. And in some communities, they'll even lane the line of Eicha and Moshe Rabbeinu to the tune of Eicha, bringing that contrast not just intellectually, but also in an audio fashion, in an emotional sense. You hear the tune and you begin to think, oh, it's Tisha B'Av noise. So let's daven this Shabbat. Let's daven for the noise, the cacophony, the craziness. Like any parent or grandparent knows, yes, it might be hard work having a house that's busy. When they all go home after a chag or after a weekend away, the loneliness, the quiet is actually quite jarring. So let us daven for a time when our nation is busy, but positively busy, and that we need to appoint lots of people to help the leadership and to have good leadership, Moshe Rabbeinu type leadership, dedicated to the people, bringing about the vision, the chazon, so that Yerushalayim, which is very much now Yashva Badad, Yerushalayim is the symbol of the modern state of Israel, living alone in the world, almost isolated from public opinion, laughed at by the majority of the world, will no longer be so. We can take our rightful role as God's people, living up to our responsibility, being that light unto the nations, bringing people an awareness of morality and justice in the way that we know we can. Shabbat Shalom.